Hello, Drawing 3 class. Just a few ink techniques I need to show you and review with you before your first project. We will be doing some of these ink techniques for your first project. So let's start with hatching. Anytime you have closely spaced parallel lines that don't cross each other, those are called hatching marks or hatch marks. And if you want them to get darker, put them closer together. If you want them to appear lighter, spread them out. Um, this is a shading technique, as are all of these ink techniques that I will show you. You notice that you're going to be shading with black ink. It's black whether it's over here in this lighter area or in the darker area, still black ink. So to make something appear darker or lighter, you have to space the lines further or closer. Now, if we add crossing lines, we call that cross hatching. So we can do some hatching to start out with, and then if you cross it, it will become darker each time you cross the lines. Eventually, if you keep doing this, it will become totally black. If you want to do some varying levels of value as you go, almost like a gradation, just keep going and keep spreading the lines out further and further and crossing the lines less and less. It becomes lighter and lighter as it goes across. The, the most important thing with cross hatching is that you keep your lines short. I'm going to show you some pictures later that I use cross hatching on, and the lines need to be short. If they're not short, then they flatten an object. In most cases, you'll be using this on a three-dimensional object. If you use really long lines, it's going to make it look flat. Here's one thing that you don't want to do with cross hatching. You don't want to use long lines that are really slow. Notice how these are pretty slow. And like this. This is not, that is not cross hatching. That's like making a tic-tac-toe board or something. Okay, we're not doing tic-tac-toe or anything like that. So we don't want this. We want quick shading, quick lines, and short. Stippling. Stippling is the third one. And on this first project, you will be able to use any of these three techniques or a combination of them. Stippling is another shading technique you can use with ink. You can actually do any of these techniques with pretty much any medium, but the main medium that these are done with is ink. So for stippling, if we want something dark, we will have dots that are close together. If we want something light, we will spread them apart more and more. This takes a lot longer than hatching and cross hatching, but I think most students find it easier to shade with than cross hatching or hatching. When you do your project, if you choose to do just stippling, I'm going to let you do a smaller project because it will take longer. If you do cross hatching or hatching, then you'll do a slightly larger project. So let me show you an example, a couple examples of cross hatching and hatching. All right, this is a drawing I did in college in a figure drawing class, which uses cross hatching. And I can't really zoom in and get more fine detail than this at this point, but you can see on the arm here, for example, there's hatching lines that kind of go this direction, back and forth. And then in the darker shadowy areas, there's hatching with cross hatching added to make it darker. Notice that like across the body here, it's not like there's one long line and then another long line going all the way across. It's lots of really short, small patches of lines. On the face, think about, or any part, any three-dimensional part, think about which direction the contours of this object are going. Some of these lines are kind of curving and slanting the direction that the face slants. Same with that arm. The lines are going this way because the arm, contour of the arm is going that way. Notice these creases and wrinkles on the clothing, how they kind of curve down. Another example, you can see it a little bit more clearly on this one. Uh, Places where it's black was not filled in with a giant black fat marker. That's not going to look right. That's not going to look good. If you're doing a cross-hatching drawing, you need to use cross-hatching to fill in the black. It's going to give it a different texture, different style. Don't use a big marker just to do those dark areas quickly. Um, Notice some hatching on these long grasses because I want it to look like long grasses. And then over here where there's more bushy stuff, there's a lot of crossing and different little patches of values. I've got a close-up of this picture as well. So you can see on the edge of the metal part of the tracks here, really short lines, and see the detail there. It's a little bit lighter on that bottom edge, a little bit darker on the top edge where the lines cross. On this part, the wooden parts of the railroad, the grain of the wood was going side to side, so I made those hatching lines go side to side. Try to make the lines go, in some cases, the direction of the contours or the surface of your objects that you're drawing. Let's go back to the full picture again. Notice this stuff in the background. This is just trees back here, very little detail. Notice how up here you can see 1, 2, 3 little sets of hatching marks, and they kind of overlap each other. And you can see where they overlap, it's a little bit darker. And I think that works out okay back here because it just almost looks like little patches of clumps of weeds. And again, you don't need much detail in that type of a place. So again, your first project will be cross-hatching, hatching, or stippling, or a combination of those. And hopefully this information helps a little bit. You can also find lots of good examples online. Check YouTube and check for cross-hatching and stippling videos there as well. Okay, thank you.